Hope you guys had a beautiful week and a beautiful weekend. So this is going to be a recap on EurUsd and USDJPY. Basically, my thought process. I'm going to go over everything, what I was seeing in price, how price unfolded to me, what was my objective, what the issues that I had at the start of the week. And this week, I'm just going to go over the patience and you just sticking to your rules, the things that you have done, you've crunched up the numbers on. Because I see most people, they have a strategy or they have a trade plan, they use it for some time, and the moment it doesn't work for 2 3 days or out of 2 3 trades, they dump it and go look for something new. But you have to understand that if you're making out a strategy, if you're making out a trade plan, if you're making out anything, a trade rule, these things, there will come a time where you have a series of drawdowns, a series of losses, or you can avoid both of them, but there could come a time where you're not just being able to apply it, and you just have to wait till when everything turns out. And for me, I probably had to wait till Wednesday, then take Thursday off, then wait till Friday, and that's when everything lined up perfectly. But Monday and Tuesday, they were kind of frustrating and annoying because here I was waiting for EU to do something for me. Anyone that trades EU can all testify to it. Monday, Tuesday were just annoying days where price was barely making any proper price movements. But then there was GBP USD. We were looking at other pairs. GBP USD, gold, everything was moving so smoothly. But yeah, I decided to stick to EU because I know that this pair is a choppy pair sometimes, but once you wait for things to align, as I say, wait for the stars to align. Once you wait for things to align, and then I apply what I know is my trade rule slash trade plan slash strategy, it's going to play out really beautifully. And for me, that was Friday. Now, looking at this, let's just take a step back, and then if you had watched the previous video, you would remember me saying, that if we get a 4-hour close or a daily close below this level, and this level is 1.1324, which was April's range high. So I was saying if we get a 4-hour close below this level, then this price movement above this level was probably a fake out, was a premium, was a fake out, swing failure, whatever name you want to give to it. But this break wasn't the real break above this high, and we're going to see price move much lower to fill in this void and probably fill in this other void below market. That was what I said, I think was towards the ending of my last video, where I was saying basically if we get a 4-hour close below this level or a daily close below this level, then that means the sellers are still in control and they will try and push price much lower. You have to understand how to pick these important key levels in price. And as soon as the market opened, we got a 4-hour close below this. And I just posted on my Instagram. I said, market just opened and the 4-hour close happened below this. That just gave me my premise for the whole week. I was willing to look for shorts. The only thing that was going to change my bias was if we broke and closed above this high. That was the only thing that was going to change my bias. So I just told myself, if I don't see a break and close above this high, I will not go long. But basically, if I saw a break and close above this high, which equally I stated in the previous video, I would be looking for this high, which is 1.139, and then this one, which is 1.145. So that was what I was looking at for. So mind you, this being my invalidation level for shorts, so this was my invalidation level for shorts. Now, what most of you didn't notice is that if you look to the left side of the chart, when we made this move up last week, we were driving price, or rather, no, we were driving price. Price was running into a daily order block, which is this whole candle here. So price was running into a daily order block that price had failed to dip into. This was liquidity resting below a daily OB. Now, if you refine this to the H4, this is the position you get. So if you go to the daily breaker, which was the last candle that sends price up to take out this high. So the last candle that sends price up to take out this high, you would have this. And if you look to your left, you can see how price is keyed into that with the last week's high. And we're not able to push back into that level or above that level. Getting a 4-hour close, that validated shorts. Now, Going much to the lower time frame, having this level to validate shorts. I think it must have been this. I'm going to put that on. Now Monday starts, and as price is distributing lower on Monday, we get this. Now I'll tell you on Monday, yes, I did take longs on Monday. And I'll tell you why I took longs on Monday. In as much as I could have a short bias on price, I can still go long. But then when I'm playing to the long side of price, I will be very, very nimble with my targets. I'm just looking to get in and get out. That's all I'm looking out for. If I'm long, like basically if I have a high time frame buy bias, I can still go short. But if I'm going short, I'll be very nimble. I'll be looking for 2-3 hours, 4 hours at most to just get out. 2-3 hours, 4 hours at most, just get out. I'll be looking to just get the easiest trades out of that move and get in and get out. Now, this is what happened on Monday. So on Monday, before we set this level, I noticed we had a void here. So I took shorts at this price point. And then price came down and took me out. So I had a loss initially. Price came back, took me, and then I looked at price again and I went long, having a wider stop loss just to mitigate the loss, recovered that. But then what I noticed that we had set liquidity below market. So we had set a double bottom below market, and when the day ended, this is when I was very, very strong on my conviction for shorts. So I knew that, okay, now we have closed below 1324, 1324 on the 4 hour, on the daily. We've set a double bottom on the lower time frame, and then during the agent session, here comes again another double bottom. So during the agent session of the next, there comes another double bottom. I'm like, all right, cool. So now we have this liquidity, we have a void here, we have an order block, and what I was expecting was for price to come down to the hourly level, the hourly order block, which is this one here. So what I was expecting was price to come down to the hourly order block. So take this out, come down here, and then we'll find some support, and we'll probably push higher, but if we don't, we'll go lower. And then I'll explain all of that. So now looking at this on 15 minutes, which you guys, or not you guys, most of you guys do know that I use 15 minutes for my intraday trading. We had liquidity here, we had liquidity here. Now the next day, price runs up, takes out the previous daily high. So price runs up and takes out the previous daily high, takes out this double top that we have here. So for me, we've taken out liquidity on the top side, and I was thinking to myself, okay, this is the day that we'll finally see that distribution go much lower. So we've taken out this part triple top here, we've taken out the previous daily high, we've taken out this part triple top, we've taken out the previous daily high, price is distributing lower, and then we break structure. So this candle here causes the break in structure. Oh shit, no. So this candle here causes the break in structure. But then we have this double bottom, double top. Now, knowing fully well that we had news coming out, I wasn't comfortable going short yet. Why? It's because we had a double top here. Knowing that we had a double top here. So when news comes out, I get my entry as soon as price takes out this double top. It dips it into a 5-minute order block and then distributes lower, takes out this low, and I'm finally thinking price is going to distribute much lower. So I just break even my trade. Price comes back, takes me out of break even. So yeah, this was very frustrating. So I'm basically trying to go short here, it doesn't let me. I try to go short here again, it squeezes me out twice on my trades. So it squeezes me out twice on my trades, and I'm finding it really frustrating now. So I wait for Wednesday, and then on Wednesday, this was the day that I finally knew, okay, this might be it. So on Wednesday again, we take out the previous daily high. Just going to do this. So on Wednesday now, we take out the previous daily high, and prices should be slower. But right before that happens again, we take out the previous, we basically run stops again. So for me, this wasn't a breaking structure. I will not consider this a breaking structure because it's just weeks. I was waiting for a full-on close below this level before I go short. So we have taken out the previous daily high. Price runs, refuses to break structure. We run the intermediate high of that same day again, and finally we get the breaking structure. So what I just do is I set a limit here. set a limit at this point, and I was waiting for price to run up to that level. So I set a limit at this point because this is the last candle before we break structure. And I'm looking at it now because this was my target for the day. I had my liquidity I had my take profit at 1.13, I think it was 28. Yes. So this was the level I was looking at for 1.1328. This was the level I was looking for price to find support, but this is where I would have wanted to get out of 1.1280. Now, at the same time, if we look at USDJPY, this was another trade that I took. So now, if we look at USDJPY, when the week started, we had a gap and then price rallies higher. Now, I didn't want to do anything. My plan was to sit on my hands till price fills out this gap, which did that on Wednesday. Yeah. So my plan was to do nothing till price fills out this gap. So all of this happens on Monday, all of this happens on Tuesday, and then price finally fills out the gap, though it's off by maybe a pipette. But to me, this was the gap being filled. This was the last candle before the gap happened. So this was the gap being filled for me. So same thing on Wednesday. When Euro sets up this structure here, when Euro sets up this play here, same time on UJ, we have this play here. So I zoom into UJ and I wait for the first breaking structure. So after we've filled out the gap, I'm waiting for the first breaking structure. And if we look at this, this is the last swing high before we have this order block. So here we have the order block, here we have the last swing high. So as soon as price takes out this high here, so as soon as price takes out this high here, and though we break the second breaking structure, though we have the second breaking structure having a bigger conviction that price is going to go higher, all what I wait for is for price to dip back down into this. Now, a lot of people got taken out before while, because this was a news release, price dipping into a level, and this was a news release, price running into this level. Some people went short here, but for me, this was a pivotal level. This was the order block that I decided to go with, and not with this one. Reason why is because this was the first breaking structure, and expecting news, I didn't expect price to just distribute from here. The market had been basically manipulating all of this, and I was like, if they were about to set the high of the week on the Wednesday, they would try to at least take the piss one more time. So I just let my limit. So basically, this was a limit trade. Let my limit stay here. I let my limit stay. Even one someone in the trade room, because I took a nap on this day, and it was Matt. I asked Matt, like, look, if price runs this high, give me a call. And as soon as price ran this high, he gave me a call. I got up from the nap. I set a limit. I set a stop loss, and I didn't wake up. I set my alarm right before news just to see what happened, and I just woke up I think it was 4 minutes before news, and just saw price dip into that level, and then price rally back higher. Now, what were my targets for UJ? Basically, double tops flat market here. So basically, this double tops on flat market here, and then I wanted to see price take out this level. But then the news move was just way too quick. So I told myself, if we take out this high, I'll shave off a lot of my lot size. So when we took out this high, I took off 80% of my trade. So you can see this was probably, had my stop loss a little bit below this because it was a news release. So somewhere around here, I think. So I didn't do much. Must have been like a 3R on UJ. And then on EurUsd, when price distributed lower, I shaved up lot size when we took out this intermediate low. So I took off about 40% of whatever I had on when we were approaching this low, and I just let the rest play out at break even. And then eventually we took out the double bottoms, and then that was me closing all my trades, getting done for the week. Now, the thing about being an intraday trader is that most of you think you have to stay on, or most of you, let me not say think, most of you make the mistake of staying on the 15 minutes, 5 minutes. Some of you even go as low as 1 minute. Most of you make that mistake of staying on those time frames for too long, but you have to remember that there's always something you have to pay attention to, which is the higher time frame bias. Now, in as much as we intraday traders, scalpers, play on liquidity of what the day has to offer, if you're trying to play on liquidity where there's no liquidity, that's not going to make sense. I don't even get what I'm saying. So basically, I'm saying if you don't understand what the high time frame flow is saying, you're basically going to play on liquidity and you're going to get stopped out a lot of times. So more times, I want to know what the daily and 4-hour is telling me before I try to play on my intraday liquidity, leading to those levels that I have already discerned. So now, having this in mind, Wednesday this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So now on Thursday, what I do on Thursday is that I go on the daily time frame. Now I didn't trade on Thursday because I just wanted to be sure. So I go on the daily time frame, and for me, this was a breaking structure. Price taking out this swing low. Price taking out this low here on this candle. So basically like a mitigation block. Price taking out this low on this candle. What I wanted to see was for price to run into this daily level here. What I want to see was the price run into this daily level, which was 1.13013. Now, and if you go back to the 15 minutes, on Wednesday, that is exactly what happens. So let me take this off so I do not confuse people. This was meant to be here. Okay, cool. So on Wednesday, price opens, and during London Open, we run into that level, like spike comes down. And after 8 a.m. London Open, which is this here, my meta trade for is going to be 10. There was still a trade because here was a breaking structure, and here was a return back to an order block. I did not trade this day. So here was a breaking structure, here was a return back to an order block. If you took this trade and simply got out at where we had the hourly order block here, this would have most likely been like a 10 or an 8R, but I just didn't want to trade Thursday. I wanted to wait for price to show me its hand because again I was getting wary of this level of price hitting here and then bouncing back up and pushing higher. So now knowing that we've gotten the breaking structure, we have set the high of the week. You need to have convictions. If the high of the week is set, I do not really care about catching the high of the week or the high of the day, but I want to know that these things are in place, and then I'll go in and I'll scale in heavy on my other trades. So knowing that the high of the week was set, I didn't hold any trades from this high, but knowing that the high of the week was set, knowing that we'll probably set the high of this day with the breaking structure, the daily level, price returning back to the order block. If you took this trade, had a stop loss here, that would have been over 10R. If we decided to add a couple of more pips to this, let's see what that would have been. Let's see, you had a 5 pip SL. That would have still been a 6R trade. Well off a 6R trade for you. Now, knowing that these levels have been set, now I'm going into Friday, which was the main day for me. Going into Friday. Now on Friday, price opens and it starts pushing higher. And I'm thinking, okay, are we going to get a push up from this hourly level that I had drawn out? Or this was the level, I told everyone in the trade room, this was the level that I was expecting for price. If we were meant to push high, this was what I was expecting price to push high from, because we had filled in the main void, which was NFP voice for me. This void wasn't that important to me. I knew that yes, we could come low, but it wasn't that important to me. Now, seeing price push higher, I was getting ready to go for buys because here was the first breaking structure. Price was returning back to sort of like this breaker here. But then I decided to look at the H4. And this is what I'm always saying, like, you guys have to pay attention to what the higher time frame is saying. Now, if you go to the H4, what you would notice, if you go to the H4, what you would notice on that day is that on that day we get the breaking structure. On that day we get the breaking structure, and all what price was doing was pulling back up to this H4 level. All price was doing was price was pulling back up to the H4 level. And if you look at that H4 level properly, it was a round number which was 1.1288. So price was pulling up to a key level 1.1288, which was equally the H4 level and which was equally an hourly level. So if you look at this was an hourly OB. Price had broken structure on the hourly, broken structure on the H4, and we were slowly pulling back up to that level. So 1.1288, that was my key level. So what I wanted to see was for price to pull up to that level, and then I'll look for lower time frame breaking structure. Now on that day I had 3 entries, which I'll go ahead and I'll talk about the first entry. Now when price pulled up into this level, I don't think that's it. Let me just use the H4 and draw it out. So when price, hate when this happens. So when price pulls up into the H4 level, what I did was go on the 15 minutes to try and see what I could find. And I said, all right, cool. Price, mind you, we still have this level here, which is the hourly OB. So when price pulls up to this level, I want to see a breakdown off of the 15 minutes or 5 minutes for me to disregard this level. So what I was waiting for was price to break below this breaker, retest of this break, and then I'll go shorts. But then on the 5 minutes, already we had created a breaker So that's when I took off this level and I wasn't paying attention to this again. Now, if you look at the 5 minutes, this was the last bearish candle. Price runs up into the H4 level, and we take out the stops, just this intermediate stops here. Price runs into the H4 level, the break below, the retest. I waited for a second retest just to be sure, and then I got my entry somewhere around, I think it was somewhere around here, and I put my stops right above this high. Now, the reason why I was putting my stops right above this high is that I knew that price could literally come back and retest this level. So I was putting my stops at where my invalidation level was, which was this level here. I was telling myself, this was the high of today, with knowing that we had dollar news coming out later in the afternoon. I don't want to see price come back to this high. So I put my stops above this high. So this was somewhere about, how many pips is that? So that was about a 10. I think I must have had like a 12 pip stop loss. So this was about a 12 pip stop loss on the first entry, and then pulling into the second one was on the 15 minutes. When we took out this low and we took out this other low here, I got in using this lower breaker, and then I just had, I think it was a generic 10. It must have been like about a 10 pip stop loss. So I had about a 10 pip stop loss here again. So this was my first entry on the 5 minutes, the second entry being at this level, and then price break structure one more time. Now at the final low break of the structure, at this first two entries, I had about half of the normal risk I would usually put on a trade, just cause I wasn't really convicted on the shorts. And when we finally took out this low here, when we finally broke structure here, this is when I alerted everyone in the trade room, because these first two entries I didn't tell anyone about it because these were like high probability trades to me. But after we took out this low, this is when I told everyone in the trade room, hey, look, this is what I'm expecting. Reason why is because where we made this low here, if we are to zoom out to the 30 minutes, because my screen wouldn't just go that far in 15 minutes. If we were to zoom out in the 30 minutes, what you will notice is that right where we have that low, so right where we set this low for the day, there was another low here. So for me, this was a big liquidity. Now, basically what happened is that the market makers, but whatever name you want to give to them, price had been engineered to come to this level, set our double bottom. Now in the intraday, retail guys are thinking this is a double bottom, price should push higher from here. And if you're a scalper, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say that you guys are not right. You know, I've seen people trade double bottom, double tops, and become very profitable, because this here was a clear example of a double bottom and price running up to 50 pips. So it's not always the case. But my thought process was double bottoms are being set. People out here thinking, all right, I'm gonna buy from here. I'm gonna have my stop loss here, but I wanted to take out people's stops. And I think I had a chat to someone on Twitter, and he was going long on this day, and I told him I was coming for his stops, and I had to apologize to him after, because I came off like maybe being rude or something, but I was basically just joking with him, and I apologized to him on the TL and even in DMs, because maybe he told me he thought I was attacking, but I wasn't. So he was long on this day, and I told him I was going to take his stops. And so my thought process was, people are seeing double bottoms here, they're expecting price to push much higher, but that was not the case. This was them basically just manipulating prices, and the final move up was just them engineering one last move up so they could push price, shift price lower one more time. And at this point, I had a sell limit somewhere around here, and I'll tell you guys where I had my sell limit and why. So I was looking price to take out this low and probably take out this low, fill out this little void, dip into this order block. And even on that day, on the TL, on Twitter, on Telegram, on Instagram, I did say that price was going to push much lower, but I was satisfied with the move, because first of all, I had a move from here, I had another move from here, and then the final one, which was where I finally went in full risk. So in the 15 minutes, this is what I was seeing. The 15 minutes, what I was seeing, price run up to this level. So I put my entry at this point. I think it was somewhere around. Oh God, I hate it when this happens. Let me just adjust this. So black. So this is where I had my entry. Literally keyed off of this point, and then price fell off. I added like about 1 pip or 1.2 pip below this order block, and I'm not going to fully explain why I had my entry right at this level, but the proof is there. You guys can go check it. I just had a sell limit. I had my stop loss right above this high. This was my invalidation level, and price hits that level, and the next thing happened, we just get the big drop, taking out this price point, and then heading for the next level of liquidity, consolidates, and then price pushes much lower. That was my thought process. Now, the whole point of this video is just basically to show that if I was frustrated with Monday, because I believe Monday and Tuesday were frustrating to me. If I was frustrated with Monday and Tuesday, and I gave up and I didn't want to like maybe change my trade plan or do something different or go look for a trade on another. But you have to understand sometimes your pair, if you have one, might take you 5 days before you have a setup. Might take you 4 days. You might never have a setup every week. But that's something that people that trade intraday tend to forget. They think because I'm an intraday person, I should see something that makes sense to me every day. Sometimes people ask me what's your bias on the pair, and I say I don't know, and they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know because whatever I'm seeing is not clear to me." So I'll sit down. On this day, though I had like the daily level and the 15-minute, I saw everything, but I wasn't just convicted on this play. I wasn't convicted in any way whatsoever. So I just decided, you know what, I'll sit it out. And when someone told me what I said on Instagram I wasn't going to trade on Thursday, and I'll just leave it. And then on Friday, I did all of this. You have to understand you don't have to win every day. People think intraday means being profitable every day. Sometimes you have to sit out, wait for things to play out, wait for things to come to you before you take the trade. Now, the same time that this was happening on Euro, you guys must be thinking, oh, I have such a good sense of judgment when it comes to stop loss placement. I was a complete yam head on UJ, which annoyed me. Now, I was a complete yam head on UJ. Let me show you what I mean. Now, on UJ, we take out the previous daily low. So in UJ here, we take out this previous daily low right here. So the previous daily low has gotten taken out. I have such a strong conviction that the dollar news is going to come out bearish with all the places happening in EU. So I was expecting UJ to push much higher. Now, what I was simply waiting for was a breaking structure, an entry, right? After this last taken out, what I should have been doing was a breaking structure, an entry, and then place my stop loss. Listen, place my stop loss at my invalidation level and not at my ego level. So I was meant to place my stop loss at my invalidation level and not at my ego level. And me, I then decided to, so I got my breaking structure here and price returns into my OB, which was this one here. And I was literally meant to place my stop loss. I was literally meant to place my stop loss at this level. But no, I decided to place my stop loss right here. And if you look at this, it was literally, I needed to give price an extra 3 pips. So I get stopped out, and then this happens, and it really annoys me. So towards the end of the day, I went in again at this breakup, but I went in with like half of the risk that I should have gone in with. So I went in with half of the risk I should have gone with. I just held it to the highs of the day, and I collapsed it. So yes, I did mitigate the loss, but you don't need to do stuff like this. Just trade what price gives you. Trade your invalidation levels. Trade your proper stop loss placement. Don't be like me. Don't do this. Don't be like me. Don't do this. Don't be like me. So, anyways, that was just a recap for this week. Now, looking at EU, what I'm expecting actually is for this coming week, I'm expecting price to take out Monday's double bottoms, which are the lows at 1.16. Let's just call it 1.16. So I'm expecting price to run to 1.116. I'm expecting price to run down to 1.116. These are the lows that I'm watching for this week. And we're already below a daily breaker, and we're below the EQ of April's range. So I'm not expecting much of a retracement this week. What I would just like to see, just a quick run up to somewhere around this level on Monday. Probably this daily, this hourly OB, and then price to should be much lower coming down for this double bottoms. And yeah, that's just my short-term plan. I'll just wait for things to play out. Then during the week, I'll know where I really stand. We're running down now. Sorry, tongue twister. Anyways, we're running down into a daily order block, but I do not really see price having the push up from that. I still feel Euro can go bearish long term and head to 1.10. But yeah, that's just the plan for now. That's just my view on it. If I'm not wrong, this is probably going to be the high of June. If I'm not wrong, this is the high of June. If we stay below the EQ and we keep pushing lower and we take out this low and we use other levels, there's a daily level candle here. If we use this as a breaker, then this the high of June has been set, and we'll probably run down to levels like this. So that's just it. I hope this was helpful. Subscribe, follow me on Instagram. The same name on all platforms, which is Yasko, and practice how to pronounce that. It's Yaski, not Yasuke. It's Yaski. So just pronounce it as if it's spelled with Yaske. So Yasko on charts, YASUKEONCHARTS on Instagram, on YouTube, and on Twitter. So I'm trying to get more active this year. So share with your friends, comment, like, subscribe, ask questions where you don't understand. I might not reply immediately, but I'll try and provide some help or value, or whatever the case may be. So trade carefully this week, guys, and have a beautiful week. I think we've got FOMC this week, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, trade carefully. That's if you even trade dollar pairs. And yeah, I'll see you guys much later into the week on my Instagram. That's where I'm most active. So all right, bye bye.